Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we'll be completing in today's video, this Calico Coffee Cat. Another wonderful fall drawing. I love the way that this turns out, so I hope that you enjoyed and I hope that yours turns out just as wonderful. I'm sure it will. It's not that hard, I promise. We use Symmetry to help us a lot, and then we just draw some, details and shadows and highlights, very simple ones. So lots and lots of fun. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon, so if you join us over there, you get access to exclusive tutorials every month, along with sneak peeks of what we're doing over here on YouTube. So I have that linked in the description below if you'd like to check that out. Here are some of the drawings that we've been doing recently. And then before we get started on today's drawing, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just save the file to your iPad and then double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate, and it will automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. And then I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed here and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we'll be working with today, so let's just go ahead and get started. The first thing that we'll do is set our background color. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu, click on this background color layer to open up our selection here, and select this first color on the first row of the color palette to fill it in with this creamy color. Then we'll make the ground really quick that our cat will stand on. So on our layer menu, just make sure we're on layer 1. Let's grab our second color on the top row. I'm going to be on my monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. My opacity for the brush is at 100. My size will set to about 30. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit so I can see both sides. And I'm going to start on the left side up from the bottom a little bit, maybe like a quarter of the way up the canvas, if that. And just go across, make a quick curved line all the way off the other side. I'm going to hold it down so that I can adjust it here. It turned into like a perfectly smooth curved line. Then I'm going to click this edit arc button at the top. Make sure that it's like kind of roughly the same height on both sides going off the edge, and then adjust this curve down a little bit. We just want a very gradual little curve like so. Once we get a good line that we like, let's go ahead and fill in below it. And that is our ground. So we'll draw some bushes in the background at the end, but now we're just going to go straight into our cat. So on our layer menu, let's go ahead and add a new layer, and we're going to draw its head first with Symmetry turned off, and then we'll turn Symmetry on to draw our body and our arms, and then we'll turn it off again for like our legs and our scarf and stuff, but we'll use it a few times on and off today. So on layer 2 here, let's grab our first cat color, the first one on the second row, same monoline brush. And I'm going to start to draw the head a little ways down the canvas, maybe right about here, towards the top, but we need room for our ears and like a little space above it. So maybe right about here. I'm going to draw a good kind of circular shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. And then I'm going to click this ellipse button at the top. So this is my ellipse. So for my head, so I want it to be pretty good size. I want it to be a slightly wider than it is tall, so it's a little bit more of an oval. And then we're going to try to make it pretty straight up and down where our two blue dots are like right on top of each other. And then don't worry about centering it yet. We'll center it in a moment, but you can drag it around towards the center if you'd like. Again, a little ways from the top of the canvas there. Good big size, and then go ahead and fill that in. Okay, then we're going to grab it with our arrow tool, and we're actually going to switch it to warp, and we're going to make a slight change. We don't want it to be so perfect. We want our cheeks to be a little bit wider at the bottom. So I'm going to drag this bottom right corner down and out just a little bit, and my bottom left corner down and out just a little bit. And then my top middle area, I'm going to drag up a smidge as well. So it gets like a little pointier towards the top of his head, but then its ears will go right on each side there. So something like that. Then I'll switch it back to uniform. If you need to resize it or anything, feel free to do so. But I am going to center it now on my center yellow line. So make sure snapping is turned on in the bottom left, and just drag it around until you get this vertical yellow line. Again, a little ways from the top of our canvas. That will be where our head goes. A nice good size like so. Let's go ahead and just continue on, and we'll draw our body next, and we'll use Symmetry for this. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer for our body. Let's actually drag it below our head layer just to keep things organized. So on our new layer, we're going to turn Symmetry on now. So gear icon, under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, and then click Edit Drawing Guide, set it to Symmetry, and you should see a vertical line pop up here. If you do not, go ahead and click Vertical under the Options menu here, and then click Done. Now our new layer should say Assisted on it, on our layer menu here. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. And same color, same brush, we will draw our body now. So I'm just going to start in a little bit on the bottom of his head. So I'm going to probably draw on the left side here, and it'll mirror on the right. So right kind of in here, I'm going to draw a curved line down to the ground, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then click this Edit Arc button. So I want it to be a bit wider, so I'm going to drag the whole thing out a little bit and then drag the curve out quite a bit as well. But pretty smooth curve all the way through. I widen at the bottom too, so we need room for our feet, so they're going to go across on the bottom a little bit and then up and then into like a little belly in the middle. So a good distance like this. They're roughly lined up with like the left side of my head here, maybe in a little bit from that, but you know, kind of right about there. Okay, back to our pen tool. Now we'll make our feet. So on the bottom here, starting right at the end of this line, I'm going to go in, make a small horizontal line. So just make a straight line, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. Click this line button if you need to move it around at all, so you can move it. If you touch one of the blue dots to like extend it, you might mess up your horizontal angle, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. But again, then we're going to kind of come up at a slight curve and then towards the middle. So I think this is a good length for the bottom of the foot. So back to our pen tool. Now from here on the end here, we'll curve up a little bit, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth again. Click the arc button at the top to adjust it. So we want a slight curve in it. If it gave you the line option, click line at the top, and it might give you the arc option to switch to, or you can just redraw it a little curvier so you get the arc option. But yeah, we just want a slight curve up, maybe a little closer to the center line there. That looks pretty good. Back to my pen tool. We'll connect it in the middle with a curved line. So I'm going to start at the end, curve, hold that down, and then just kind of adjust it so it turns into one nice smooth curve all the way through. So I'll adjust the ends of it and then yeah, just curve it so that it gets one nice kind of curve going. Like so, and we'll fill it all in. So if it's a little wonky on the top or something, that's okay. But here's the body of our chunky little coffee cat. Then we will connect it across the top so that we can fill it in underneath our head there. So we should have one big filled in shape, like so. Okay, awesome. So nice and kind of chunky. So the scarf will cover a good amount of like the top of our body and the bottom of our head where those come together. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get our scarf in place now because that'll help us place our arms. So on our layer menu, let's just add a new layer above all of our layers so far. Let's grab our first red color on the last row. And we'll make the top main horizontal part of the scarf, and then we'll use this darker color to make the small back section and the one hanging down. So again, first color on the bottom row, same monoline brush. No symmetry or anything. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start just kind of right towards the top of the body here from one side off the edge of our cat a little bit, curved line to the other side off the edge of our cat a little bit. So I'll redraw that something like that. I held it down and then click the arc button again to adjust it. And yeah, so we want it maybe to swoop down just a smidge on the left side or something like that. But it can be mostly like straight across with this little curve in it again, just going barely off the edge of our cat on each side. So I'll bring that in a little bit there. Okay. Now on the left side here, we're going to come off of this part and curve in like this. And then we're going to kind of curve back out going over our head. So I made two little curves there. This is kind of like the wrinkle in this edge. It kind of folds over. And then from this line here, we're going to come and make another curved line going like this, down, and it can go like right under the head probably, or right where that neck comes in, something like that, a good bit thinner on the right side here. And then connect that with like a slightly curved line on the right side. Feel free to clean it up at all with your eraser or your pen tool. My eraser is also set to the monoline brush. So I have a shape like this now that I will fill in. That's the start of our scarf. Okay, so now we'll make the rest of the scarf. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer below the scarf layer we just created and grab our second red color on the bottom row. Slightly darker just so we can see a slight difference between them. So then I'm going to start, and this is going to cover the face on the right side. So I'm going to start maybe like to the left of my symmetry line a little bit, right here where my other scarf piece is. I'm going to start right below it, kind of curve up towards the right side of his face, going off the right side just a little bit, probably like the same height that we have over here if possible. I held it down again. I'll adjust it, but a slight curve upwards. Pen tool, and then we will sink it below this other piece. So another curved line till we get right below it, and then connect and fill in this other little chunk there. So now it looks something like this. Adjust that at all if you need to. I might bring it in just a smidge closer to its head there. Put a little chunk of scarf showing like so. And then also on the same layer with the same color, we're going to make the little tail end of the scarf, which is coming off the left side. So kind of right near the edge of this scarf piece, I'll start. I'll come down at a slight curve. That one gave me a line when I held it down. I'll click this line button and it gives me the arc option. So then I can get a slight little curved line kind of flowing out to the left side of his body like so. I have it pretty long, almost touching the ground. Back to my pen tool. We'll just make kind of like a curved line towards the bottom there, kind of to straighten it out. And then from there, we'll kind of curve back up on the corner and then connect back with like another maybe slightly curved or straight line, whatever works. Like so. Connect it, fill it in. Boom, now we have the tail end of our scarf. So something like that. Adjust it if you need to. It'll all come together when we add all the details and stuff, but that was really helpful for us to make our arms so that our arms aren't like too high or too low compared to our scarf. So on our layer menu, let's go back to our body layer and add a layer right above it. Let's click on it and turn on drawing assist again so we can use symmetry. And then this time we're going to grab our second color on the second row, our kind of brighter white color, so that we can see where our arms are as we draw them. So our arms are just going to be two little kind of ovals. So I'm actually just going to start off the left side of the body here a little bit, just down right below the scarf. And I'm going to make a full oval all the way around, hold it down like this. Click this edit ellipse button, and we're only going to see the part sticking inside the body, but now we can adjust it a little bit. So they're curved downwards towards the middle. They don't touch the symmetry line. They have a little bit of a gap in between them and the symmetry line, maybe about like this to hold our coffee. And then, yeah, move them up or down if you would like to, but just kind of right underneath my scarf here, I think is good. So something about like that, nice and kind of chunky and thick. And then I'm going to fill them in. Go back to our layer menu, click on this layer, and set it to a clipping mask. So now it clips to our body below it so that nothing sticks outside of it, but we still have our nice shape there to work with. And we'll leave it like this for now. We'll adjust it later so they don't look so weird, like being a different color. They should be the same color as the body, but we need like highlights on them and shadows around them to make them pop a little bit more. So we'll get to that in a little bit. So let's just continue on with our cat. Let's make our ears next and our tail. That'll kind of finish off the main pieces of it. Then we can add our coffee cup, our face, and then we can get into like adding the texture or the shadows and highlights and the spots and stuff on him. So moving right along, let's go ahead and add our ears. Those are also going to be underneath our head. So right above our arm layer is good. Click on that layer and turn on drawing assist so we can use symmetry. Back to our base color, first one on the second row, same monoline brush. And just a little ways from our symmetry line here, I am going to start right behind his head and just make some kind of curvy ears till you get a good shape you like. Maybe longer on the top, but kind of curvy all the way around. So like a nice curvy edge, curvy line, curvy like rounded tip, and then another kind of curvy line back. I think is good. I'll maybe make it a little taller, connect it and fill it in, and then you can kind of touch it up more if you need to with your eraser tool or your pen. With some nice, kind of like smallish compared to his head, but very, very cute. Now let's draw the pinks inside the ears. So on our layer menu, let's just add a new layer right above this one. Click on it and turn on Drawing Assist again. Grab our pink color, fifth one on the second row, same monoline brush. And the little inside triangles are going to be kind of closer to the bottom side of the ear. So I'll start kind of right next to where the head is, and I know you can't really see the color difference, but you know, if you start drawing like right there, you'll kind of see where the line of the head is. But yeah, just a little ways away from that, so no need to get too close to it even to really see where it is, but maybe like right here, a quick curve up, and a quick curve back to kind of make our little triangle towards the lower side of the ear. Fill that in. Smooth it out a little. Like so. While we're here, let's go ahead and make our face. That'll be fun. So on our layer menu, let's go above all of our layers now, even our scarf, just in case our whiskers end up like covering our scarf in the end. We want to be above them. Click on this layer, turn on Drawing Assist, and let's start with our eye color. So that's going to be the sixth one on the second row. Same monoline brush. A little ways from my symmetry line, about halfway through his head from top to bottom, about halfway through what we can see. I'm going to start, and maybe I want my eyes to be about this far apart or so. And so I'm just going to draw a good kind of circular shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Click the Edit Ellipse button, and then you can adjust it. So I might make them a little rounder. They got a little too ovally. And then I have them tilt outwards just the teeniest little bit like this. So my top button is a little to the right of my bottom button there, but they're mostly circular. We can also move them around now. So instead of touching one of the dots, just touch like outside of it and you can move it around. So I'm gonna make them a little lower, a little closer together. Maybe something about like this. Feel free to change the size. But that looks good. Fill it in. Now for our nose, same color, same brush. I'm going to go into the middle, right on like the lowest side of the eye, straight across from that towards the center here. I'm going to draw the top of the nose. So starting a little ways away from the symmetry line, I'm going to draw into the symmetry line, hold it down till it turns perfectly straight. Touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. Really small there is good, but move it around if you need to by clicking the line button on the top. And then we'll connect it to the bottom to the symmetry line to make a triangle shape. Another clean line, I held it down, moved it around if I need to, and then fill it in. So we have a nice little small nose. Now for our cheeks, same layer, we're just going to switch our color to the fifth one on the second row. And this is going to be like down and to the right of our eyes. We're going to make another little oval shape. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Click this Edit Ellipse button to adjust it. Small little cheek there, like so. Pretty horizontal oval. Fill that in. Now we need the dots of our eyes and our whiskers, and we can do those on the same layer, but I don't want symmetry on anymore, so I'm going to go back to my layer menu, click on this layer, and turn Drawing Assist off. I'm going to grab my bright white color, second one on the second row, and with this monoline brush at 30% should be good. I'm going to make a little dot in the top right of each eyeball. So with symmetry turned on, one would have been in the top right, this one would have been in the top left. So that's why we turned it off for our dots, so they could both be in the top right. And then the whiskers, let's go ahead and draw those on a separate layer just in case we want to move them around. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer. We're going to go back to our dark color, the sixth one on the second row, and we're going to switch our pen now under the inking category to the studio pen so that we get some nice tapered edges. And I am going to set my size to like 15%, but do whatever works for you depending on how hard or light you push and however they kind of start popping up for you. If you want to adjust the size, go ahead and do so. But I'm just going to start kind of on the right side here, maybe right above my little cheek here, and make a shorter one, go down a little bit, make a longer one, and then make another shorter one. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Tilt your canvas if you need to. But again, I always start on the face and then I just kind of let it like taper off towards the end. So I think that these look good. And again, I don't want them to be identical, but these ones are kind of like more horizontal and these ones are more up and down. And I kind of like the more horizontal ones. So I'm going to grab my selection tool on freehand. Color fill is turned off. I'm going to select around this right side, grab it with my arrow tool, and then I can rotate it a little bit or resize it if we want them to be a little closer to the same kind of angle and stuff. But again, I don't want them to be identical, but maybe just a little more similar is good, or you can move them in or out if you need to, anything like that. So that is again why we made them on a separate layer. But now that those are done, those look great. So we'll still add a lot more to our body and our face to really make it all come together, the stripes and the splotches and stuff and the highlights and shadows. So let's just keep going. Our next main thing we need to draw is our tail. So let's go ahead and add that. So let's find our bottom like body layer and add a layer right below it. So right above our layer 1. And no drawing assist, but let's grab our first color on the second row again. Go back to our monoline brush and off the right side here. So since our scarf is on the left side, I'm going to do the tail on the right side. So just kind of, right underneath its arm here, I'm going to come right off the body, make a quick kind of curve, and then come back, something like this. That's a little skinny. I might try to make it a little thicker. And if you just draw pretty fast, you'll get some nice, like, smooth lines. And then I'm going to connect it at the base and fill it in. And then I might thicken it up still, but I kind of liked the shape of it. So maybe something like that. And then I'll kind of smooth it out in areas. Awesome. I'll move it down a smidge. There we go. Next up is our coffee cup. Now we want this to be above our scarf, but then below our hands. In deciding where we need to place our coffee cup, I lied about the arms. We do need the arms on a separate layer, and they can't be clipped to this body layer. But obviously, if we turn off the clipping mask, then they extend outside the body. So I turn the clipping mask off, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to do something else to get rid of the outside of the arms. So we're going to click on our body layer, click on it, and click Select. You should see diagonal lines all around the outside of it as long as color fill is turned off. And then we're going to click Invert. And now you see that the inside of the arms are all covered in diagonals and the inside of the body. So then the outside of our arms that we want to cut off are like kind of in this free open space. On our layer menu, without doing anything else, we're just going to switch back to our arms layer, click our arrow tool. It'll select those chunks of the arms that are outside the body, and we'll drag them down here. Off the canvas, arrow tool to turn it off, and then this is what we're left with. Awesome. Essentially, our coffee cup needs to be below our arms, but above our scarf so that it can pop up over the top here. So we also need to cut off this arm here where the scarf is, because we can't have this arm, like if we go and we drag it up above the scarfs now it's sticking up above the scarf, and we don't want that either. So we're going to do the same thing. So I dragged it up above our scarf layers. I'm going to click on our scarf layer with our little tail on it, click on it and click Select. This time we won't do Invert because this is the chunk that we want to get rid of, this one that's in the free clear area. Back to our layer menu, click on our arm layer, click our arrow tool, and we'll drag that chunk off again. Boom! If you happen to have any covered by this top scarf, feel free to go to your top scarf layer and do the same thing. Click Select, go back to your arm layer and drag that off. But now we should have something like this. So I apologize for the little mix up there, but we need our arms above our scarf because our coffee cup needs to be below our arm layer, but above our scarf layer. And this will also come in handy because we are going to have to add clipping masks, I believe, to all of these. So this looks better. Now on our layer menu, let's make our coffee cup. So it's going to be above our top scarf layer, below our arm layer. Click on this layer and turn on Drawing Assist. Grab our coffee cup layer, which is going to be the 5th color on the bottom row. And we're going to start here and we're going to make the base of it. So I'm going to start maybe a little bit lower than my arms, a good ways away from my symmetry line, maybe like directly under like the edge of my arm here, something like that. Right there, I'm going to go to the middle, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make a perfectly horizontal line. Then from each end here, I'm going to go up and to the right a little bit so we have a little bit of an angle here. So however big you want to make it, I'm going to go up maybe just right below my scarf. Hold that down again. Click the edit line button to adjust it. So I'm going to make sure this corner meets up nicely. And then make sure, yeah, it's just slightly angled out. Nothing too crazy, but just a slight angle to the right at the top. Pen tool, let's just connect this back to the beginning with another horizontal line. So draw to the middle, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, and then drag and drop to fill in the inside of our cup. Okay, now we're going to make the sleeve on it. So layer menu, new layer right above this one, click on it and turn drawing assist on. Grab the 6 color on the bottom row now. And we're just going to make the little sleeve, so just a little ways down from the top here. I'm going to go start outside the cup just a little bit. It might be underneath your arms even, that's okay. Go to the middle in a horizontal line, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. And then obviously I can't see anything here, but I'm just going to make my bottom line next. So wherever you want your bottom line to be, start there to the center of the screen, hold it down. If you can see this line a little bit, we're going to make a line to connect them on the side. So make sure that looks nice if you can see any of it. And then go ahead and fill in the center. And that is our sleeve. And now let's draw a coffee bean on our sleeve. So on our layer menu, let's just add a new layer right above that one. No drawing assist. Let's grab our darkest brown color, 7th one on the bottom row, the next one in line. Same monoline brush. And we're going to draw a little oval slanted. So a slanted oval like this, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Click the edit ellipse button if you want to adjust it at all. And then fill it in. And then to make it look like a coffee bean, we're just going to grab our eraser tool now. So have our eraser also set to the monoline brush. I'm going to set my size pretty low to like 5%. And then through the middle here, going with the direction of the coffee bean, I'm going to make like a little wavy line with my eraser. And that makes it look like a coffee bean printed on our little sleeve there. So once that's done, we can go to our layer menu and we can actually snap those 2 layers together to save a layer there. Add a new layer for the top of our cup. Click on it and turn on drawing assist again. We're going to start with our darker color that we're on right now, our darker brown, 7th in line, and same monoline brush. And we're going to start at the top of our cup, go straight to the center, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen so it should cover up the top line of that cup there, and I extend it out a little bit on the right side. Then we're going to go up at a slight angle, so up and to the left if I'm on the right side here. I held that down. Click the edit line button if you need to, but a short little line there at that slight angle. And then back to the center, horizontal line, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, and fill it in. Then we need one more little piece of the top of our cup. So I'm going to go back to my layer menu, and I'm actually going to go below the one that we were just on, right above our sleeve layer. Click on it and turn on drawing assist again, and go to our lighter brown, 8th one on the bottom row. Same thing right from here. I'm just going to go up at a slight angle, very, very small this time. And then straight to the center. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. If you need to move any of that around, go ahead and do so. And then I'm just going to fill this in with my pen tool. So then our little lid should have like 2 layers to it, like so. And that is why we did all that work to get above our scarf. So maybe yours wasn't above your scarf, and if it wasn't, that's okay. We still needed the arms on a separate layer anyway, so this works out fine. That is our coffee cup. That looks great. So our cat is mostly done. All of his pieces are in place. We just need the coloring to him and then all the shadows and highlights, the detail on our scarf, and then we'll finish off the background and stuff. So let's go ahead and just get to work here. On our layer menu, I'm going to snap those 2 cup layers together, my lid layers. I don't need them to be separate. So then let's see, let's just work on our coffee cup while we're here. So I'm going to go to my main coffee cup layer, add a layer right above it, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, and click the N and set it to multiply. And this is how we're going to do all of our shadows. So this is a shadow for our coffee cup. We are going to grab the 5th color on the top row, which we're going to use for all of our highlights and shadows. Same monoline brush. And the shadow on my coffee cup, I'm going to do one right under the lid here. I'm going to make a straight line, hold it down. You can touch your finger to the screen. They don't have to be that precise though. Same thing on the bottom of the sleeve. Couple little shadows there. If your arms are covering like a lot of your coffee cup, like down here or something, feel free to make like a little shadow coming off of your arms like this. But mine are pretty much only above my sleeve. So now in our layer menu, let's go ahead and just, once we're done with that multiply layer, let's snap that to our coffee cup layer to save a layer. No highlights needed on our cup. Then next up is our sleeve. So let's start with our shadow. So add a new layer above it, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, click the N and again set it to multiply. Same color, we're using the same color the whole time. I'm going to have a shadow next to my hands, just kind of like on this lower side coming off there. Something like that. No highlight for my sleeve. So let's just go ahead and again, snap those two layers together to save a layer. The coffee lid we won't have anything on, so that looks good. And then if you're happy with all that, you can snap all three of those layers together to save some layers. So that is our coffee cup done. Okay, let's just kind of move right along. I think I'm just going to switch to my scarf and then we'll come back and do all the cat stuff. So let's get our scarf layers done. So our first one is this main front scarf layer. Add a layer above it and click on it and set it to a clipping mask. And no multiply layer. We're going to start with the stripes or the, I don't know, it's like a grid pattern, I guess. So we're going to grab the third color on the bottom row. To do this, same monoline brush. We might need to adjust our size. Nope, 30 looks good still. So same size even. So I'm just going to make some horizontal lines-ish. So kind of following the shape of it. Nothing too specific. It doesn't have to be that crazy. And then we'll also do some vertical lines. Again, I'm not holding them down. I'm not spacing them even perfectly. They're kind of random. But that looks good. That looks really cute. Then we'll go to our other scarf layer and do the same thing. So add a layer above that one. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. We're just going to change our color to our fourth color on the bottom row, slightly darker. And kind of same thing. So this little piece here, I can maybe get like one horizontal and then a few vertical through it. And then this one here, I'll focus on like these longer ones first. And then the horizontal ones. And I'm going like kind of horizontal with the scarf and vertical with the scarf. So I wasn't like actually vertical and horizontal, but you know, vertical and horizontal with it. So that looks good for our patterns. So now we'll do all of our shadows and highlights. So since we're on this layer for our bottom scarf, let's go ahead and add a layer above that one. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask and click the N and set it to multiply. So this will be our multiply layer for our bottom scarf layer. Grab our color again, fifth one on the top row that we'll use for all of this. And we're going to have a shadow right underneath like our other scarf piece. So that looks good there. And then maybe like towards the bottom here, I'll just make a little shadow on the bottom inner like edge. I made it like a little curvy and stuff. And then it just kind of falls off the edge there. And then same thing on this top one, since it's behind, I'm going to make a good shadow right next to our other scarf layer there. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a highlight for this one finally. So our highlight is going to be the same idea, just a different layer style. So another new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, and this clips back to our main layer still. Click the N, and this time we're going to set the layer style to overlay. So this is what our highlight layers will be. And same color and everything, and we're just going to go maybe on the edge here and make like a little highlight on the edge. That's like closer to where like the sun would be coming. Okay, and then maybe a little bit like on the top edge here. So this maybe like top corner, a little highlight there is good. Awesome, and then once that's done, that's it for our scarf layers for that one. So I'm going to snap those all together, the base layer with all three of its clipping masks, if you're happy with it. Now we'll go do the same thing to our other scarf layers. So add a new layer above its little patterned clipping mask, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and we'll start with multiply again. Same color, and let's see, for this one we'll have like a shadow in where this little crevice is. So on the left where these two come together, I'm going to have like a little shadow in there that gets kind of like thicker at the edge and then kind of thins out towards the middle. So kind of comes to like a little point almost. So something kind of like that. And then we'll have a little bit of a shadow maybe on the underside of it, maybe on the right side. I don't know that I'll make one on this left side because I don't want these to blend in together as much. So I'm going to leave that separate, but I'll maybe do a shadow on this right side here towards the bottom of the scarf, like so. And that's it for shadows. Now we'll do highlights. So layer menu, new layer, clipping mask again, and this time overlay. and basically just on like maybe the edges here and maybe the top edge just a little bit. We'll have a little highlight going across that, like so. Do as much or as little of that as you would like. Make it a little thicker. Beautiful. And then once you're happy with that, we'll go ahead and snap those layers together. And then if you want to, you can snap all of your scarf layers together to save another layer, but I'm probably just going to leave mine separate. Okay, we'll come back to our arms later. Let's move on to our head. So let's add a layer above our head. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. And first we're going to use a normal layer and we're going to make our splotches and our stripes. So normal layer to start. So then the other two colors that we'll use for our cat are the third and fourth on the second row. So let's start with the fourth one actually. And I'm going to make a stripe on the top of his head, kind of right in the center. So kind of right here, a little stripe. Fill that in. I drew 2 lines and I held them down till it turned perfectly straight, or you can just freehand it. But I'm going to have one good one in the top of his head and then I'll do an orange one on the left and right side. But then other than that, I'm just going to make a little splotch with this, connect it, and fill it in on the right side there. Okay, same layer, just switch our color to the third color on the second row. So then I'm going to make 2 shorter little stripes on the top of its head on each side, like so. And then maybe another splotch on the left side. I might make it like a little higher up or something and fill that in. Beautiful. Now that's it for the face for the coloring. Now we'll add our highlights and shadows. So layer menu, new layer, clipping mask. Let's start with multiply. Back to our main color for that, 5th one on the top row. And our shadow is just going to be on the bottom side of his face next to our scarf here. So I'm just going to kind of go right through there. Like so. And that's it for the shadow. Layer menu, new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to overlay this time. And same color, same brush. I'm just going to start and maybe make one right across the top of its head a little bit. Like so. Maybe a little bit. Maybe I'll like take a break and then I'll do like another one on the side of its head on each side. Like so. Now the highlights get really bright on some colors, like on my red they don't get that crazy, but on my lighter colors they get kind of crazy. So if you want, if they're too bright for you, you can go to your layer menu, and since this is on its own layer, we just click our O to open up our options and we can lower the opacity of our highlight a little bit to like 60 to 70% if you would like to. Still shows up, but maybe just a little less crazy. So then on our layer menu, once you're happy with those, that's it for our head. Let's snap those all together. And then next up is our ears. I'm going to snap my pink ear layer to my other ear layer and we'll work off that. I'm not going to add any splotches to them, but you can if you would like to. But I'm just going to go straight into a shadow and highlight. So new layer, click on it, set it to a clipping mask, click the N and set it to multiply. Same color. And I am just going to go right on the bottom of the ear here, close to the head. I'm going to leave another gap though. So I'm going to start on the edge, come in, and then leave a gap and kind of go off the bottom, if that makes sense. So it's not just like one shadow all the way across. I feel like that makes the ears look kind of like disconnected almost. So I like to like leave a little gap there. So same thing on the other side. Like so. And then we need a highlight. So layer menu, new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to overlay. Same color. I'm going to do the tops of the ears. Maybe down the right side a little bit too. And the left side. So top and then down the side a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to add one more detail to the ears on this highlight layer, but we're going to switch our brush back to our Studio Pen brush under the inking category that we used for our whiskers. And essentially, the ear kind of like folds over right here. That's why we put our pink part so low. So I'm just going to start right from the corner, and I'm going to kind of come in and just do a little taper like this. Slight little curve, maybe a little closer to the top than that. Something kind of like that. Just kind of gives like a more 3D effect to our ear on both sides, but I want the taper for it. So that's why we did that. So that looks good for the ears. And then once that's done, that's it for those. We can snap those all together. Next up is our body layer. Let's add a layer above that. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask, and we will first do our colors. So back to our monoline brush, and let's start with our orange color is fine. Third one on the second row. Okay, maybe I'll start like under the arm here, and I'll make like a little orange splotch going off the right side. Always make sure to connect it and fill it in because it's on its own layer, so you got to kind of connect the whole shape. Then maybe we'll make like another kind of splotch like on the left side here, just in the body area. Fill that in. And then maybe like another little splotch like on this leg or something. Fill that in. Okay, then we'll do our brown color, fourth one on the second row. Kind of similar thing. So maybe I'll do like a splotch like here. A splotch on this side, maybe like a little lower than our orange one is on the other side or something, so they look a little different. And maybe like a little splotch kind of showing over here or something like so. And they're kind of like under our arm, and that's totally okay. That's how we want it to look. So then that's it for our splotches. So then on our layer menu, I'll add a new layer above that for our shadows. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply. Back to our fifth color on the top row. Now for shadows, we're going to have a shadow under the coffee cup and under the arms. So not all the way under the arms. I'm not going to go out this far. I'm just going to start maybe like a third of the way in. So maybe like about here, I'll kind of come out. I'll kind of go like under the arms to start, and then I'll kind of curve it down and come under the coffee cup as well. Fill all that in. Under the coffee cup, like the coffee cup is kind of casting a shadow. And then we'll kind of curve up again and then go like under this arm again up to like 2/3 of the way there maybe. Connect that, fill it in. So something kind of like that. Touch that up if you wish to, but you know, it should cast a little bit of a shadow there. I kind of did a little too much, so I'm using my eraser tool to kind of fix it a little bit. But something kind of like that underneath his coffee cup. Pen tool again, and let's go underneath the scarf. And then same thing on the side of the scarf here. A little shadow cast by that. Okay, and then on the belly here, on the inside of the leg. So I'm going to start kind of on the inside of this leg, go up a little bit, kind of follow the curve of the belly up a little bit, and then back down on the inside of the other leg. Again, connect that and fill it in so you have a little shadow on the bottom here. Smooth it out if you need to with your pen or your eraser. Beautiful. And then that's it for our shadows. And we're not going to do any highlights on this body layer. So then we'll just be done with it. So once your shadows are good and your splotches are good, let's snap those all together. Next up is our tail. So I'm not going to do any splotches on this, but you can if you would like to. But I'm just going to go straight into our highlights and shadows. So new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply. Same color that we're on. And I'm going to make a shadow at the base of the tail. So just kind of make like a little curvy part. Connect it and fill it in. So that whole little section at the bottom of the tail is in shadow there. It's a little dark and kind of blends in with my background, so I'm actually going to lower the opacity of this one just so it's not so weird looking. So on my layer menu, I'm going to click the M on this layer and drop the opacity down to maybe like 60 to 70%. So there's still a little bit of a shadow, but just not as dark. It just kind of looked strange there like it was. So that looks better for me. Layer menu, new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to overlay. And our highlight this time, we're just going to do like the top of the tail. So I'm going to kind of round around the top of the tail, connect it, and fill that in. Smooth it out if you need to. Put a good highlight right there. Awesome. That looks great for our tail. So I'm going to go back to my layer menu and snap those layers all together. So next up is our arms layer. So that's the last one that we need to do, and then we're done with our cat. And then we can finish off the background. So lastly, for our arm layer, we want to first of all make them the body color. So I'm going to click on this layer and turn on alpha lock. I'm going to go to my first color on the second row, back to my layer menu, click on this layer and click fill layer. So now they're my normal cat color. But we can see enough of them that we can now like add a highlight, especially since we have that shadow underneath them. So I'm just going to add a new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, click the N and set it to overlay. We'll start with the highlight color this time. Back to our highlight color, fifth one on the top row. So I'm just going to add a little bit of a highlight to like the top edges of the arms, and then that way, like where if you don't have a splotch here or you know, it kind of blends in with this background color, since there's no shadow up on the top here, that'll kind of highlight the top of the arm there. So if you don't have a splotch here and you can't really see it, just kind of start drawing and then you'll see it start poking in where your actual shape is. So I'm, again, not going all the way to the edge of the body or anything. I don't want like a harsh line there, but just like maybe 2/3 of the way to the edge of the body. And then a good highlight on the top of the arm, the front of the arm here, maybe even just like to there. Same thing for the other one. So same thing, I have like a big section here that's like the same color as our body color. So if I just start coloring there, I can see kind of where it is to kind of get me started. And then if you overdo it even a little bit, feel free to just go back in with your eraser and, you know, kind of taper it off there. So like so. But that helps highlight our arms. And then for our shadow, we're not going to do much, but let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask, click the N and set it to multiply. Same color, so it's just going to be right next to my scarf, just the teeniest little bit of a shadow, not even sticking out as far as our body one did. If it does, that's okay, but you know, just a tiny little shadow there. And then that's really it for our shadows. I don't want to do any shadows like here because then it kind of blends in with our shadow underneath it and that doesn't really make sense. So we just want the highlights, that teeny shadow next to the scarf, and then that is it for our arms. So I'm going to snap those all together. So we recolored them, we added our highlights mainly, and that helps them really kind of pop. And then that is it for our cat. Look at him. He looks so cute. So I hope that you like the way that your cat turned out. Now we're going to finish off the design, which just has a little few bushes in the background and a shadow underneath him. So let's go to our layer menu. Let's just go to our orange layer at the bottom, our layer 1, add a layer right above it, and we'll draw our shadow first. So it's the third color on the top row. Same monoline brush, I'm going to draw an oval underneath him, a nice horizontal oval. So draw a good oval shape like this, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then you can touch your finger on the screen and it'll set it to kind of like a horizontal angle here. If yours turns to a circle, you do it too close to a circle, so draw it more oval-like, more skinny, and then you should get it to snap to this angle here. Whatever size and stuff it's at, just leave it be. If you click this ellipse button at the top to adjust it, it'll change the horizontal angle of it, so we can resize it and center it and stuff in a moment. Let's just go ahead and fill it in. Grab it with our arrow tool on uniform or freeform if you want to make it like taller or skinnier or wider or anything like that. And then I'm going to center it here on my center yellow line. So let's center it underneath him where his feet kind of hit right in the middle there. Resize it anymore if you need to, but I want it kind of like as wide as his scarf, as wide as his tail. Something like that. Then our bushes in the background, we'll go to our layer menu, add a new layer, and drag it to the bottom of our layers, behind our layer 1. Grab our fourth color on the top row, same monoline brush. And I'm just going to start and make some bushes. I'll just start maybe like, you know, halfway through my canvas or a third up my canvas on the right side off my canvas. Curve, curve, curve until we can't see it anymore. Come off the edge on the bottom and then fill that in. And then same thing on the other side, maybe a little different. I'll start maybe like a little higher. Do some different kind of curves off the left side and fill it in. So then we have something like this. I'm going to go to my gear icon under canvas. I'm going to turn off the drawing guide so that line goes away. And that is it for our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you like the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that YouTube shows it to more people. It really helps out my channel, so I really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any future tutorials from me. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!